My backup. In three, two, one, you're live.
Hello, 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 Santa Barbara. It's your chantress of everything valuable and beautiful, Elizabeth Stewart. And I am joined by the Ojai Art Center Theater and some of the cast here because I got a press release talking about the play that they're going to produce. And they're producing a play that's set in Ojai, authored by the famous Steve Martin. He did, let's see, the Lupine. Didn't Steve Martin write the play about Picasso and the Lupine at the bar as well? Yes.
Actually,
Yes. Brian's saying yes. So I love that play. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. So this is the hometown debut of Steve Martin's comedy called Meteor Shower, set in Ojai. And the play was written to unfold in Ojai. And this is finally coming to life in Ojai. How cool is that? The first ever staging in Ojai since the Broadway premiere in 2017. And the show is running January 26th to February 18th at the Ojai Art Center Theater. And the synopsis. Well, you're transported back to 1993 in Ojai, and a meteor shower lights up the sky. And Corky and Norm and Gerald and Laura get together for a night of lunacy and unexpected twists. So, in short, the play is a hilarious exploration of the nature of reality and relationships. And we've got part of the cast here today to talk about this. So let me introduce, first of all, Anna Katula, who is with us. She's chair of Ojai Art Center Theater, and she's produced diverse characters, such as she's portrayed diverse characters, such as Harpo and Animal Crackers, Shirley and Shirley Valentine. I covered that one. And Emily Dickinson and the Belle of Amherst. I covered that as well. She holds a degree in NYU's Tisch School of Arts, and she is a dedicated and established professional, by the way. Brian Robert Harris is here. He's an actor director. Recent credits include Circle Mirror Transformation and Lost in Yonkers at Santa Paula Theater Center. He's also performed in 6 Degrees of Separation, Night Mother, Severance Play, Bus Stop, All My Sons at Elite Theater Company in Oxnard, and Dancing at Lugnasa, and MAME at Ojai Art Center Theater. Kimberly Demery. Am I saying that right, Kimberly?
Yeah, Demery, you got it.
Okay, Kimberly Demery is here. She's an actor, director, and playwright. She directed Rope at the Ojai Art Center Theater. She's performed in many productions such as Night Mother, Brighton Beach Memoirs, Noises Off. Her plays have been produced throughout Ventura County as a playwright. Evan Austin is here. Evan's 7th play. And his best theater member, he writes me, is bantering who puns backstage of this at the musical Seussical. He's starring in A Christmas Story, which closes this weekend at Ojai Art Center Theater. So that is the 4 people from the Meteor Shower. And I want Anna to introduce a little bit of this play. I guess you found it, Anna, and you thought, okay, let's do it in Ojai where it belongs to be done, right?
Well, actually, I would say that Brian Robert Harris is the one who connected with this play and proposed it to our artistic director, Tracy Williams Sutton. And she caught his excitement on it. And she applied for the rights, and we are now doing this show.
In this case, does the writer, Steve Martin, does he know about the fact that it's coming home to Ojai?
Not yet. Maybe he'll listen to this radio show and he will know I am scheming about how to get the news to him. So
Yes.
if you have any suggestions, we
Right,
would
so
love his nod of approval, of course.
well, if anyone out there knows how to get a hold of Steve Martin, the famous comedian and musician and just general genius, get in touch with me and I'll get in touch with Anna. I'm Elizabeth Appraisals, Elizabeth Appraisals at gmail.com, and we'll see if we can get him to the opening night at Ojai Art Center Theater. So Brian Robert Harris found this play. So Brian, tell me about your background with the play.
I mean, I don't have a great deal of background with the play. I was in a production of a play called Red at Ohio Arts Center earlier this year. And at the time, Tracy Williams Sutton, who's the artistic director at Ojai, was plotting her season for next year. And I expressed an interest in coming back and directing because I hadn't directed there. I think the last thing I directed was 10 years ago. Um, so, um, so, Tracy said, well, look around and see if you can find something. She said she thought a comedy would be a good idea with a small cast. And so I started looking around and I wanted to find something new. I wanted to do something a little different. And I ran across this play, which was set in Ojai. This sort of, bizarre, funny little number. And I read it and I kind of went, okay, well, maybe this is a good choice for us. And so I presented it to Tracy along with, I think, like four other choices, other plays that I liked. And Tracy said, well, let's do the one that set at Ojai. She really the one who sort of spearheaded that idea of like, it's neat that it's set in Ojai. You don't see many plays set in Ojai. It's something that our audience would probably enjoy. And so that's sort of how we got started.
That is so cool. That's really cool. The idea that I want to switch back to Anna here because I covered your portrayal of Emily Dickinson in The Belle of Amherst, and now we switch and we see you in this comedy. And I understand, this is what actors do, but is it hard to sort of jump into a comedy after you've done, kind of two serious roles for OACT?
Good question. It's always a process of discovery, and you go through thinking, wow, is this me? Could I even make this me? Can I do this? And absolutely. So this play, I think all of us have fallen in love with because it does such an interesting job of exploring sort of this polite, formal world out there with authenticity and sort of the um, subconscious, not so appropriate side of who we are, maybe. And Brian or Kim or Evan, you guys might be able to break in on that and be a little more articulate. But there is a wonderful juxtaposition of looking at how we present ourselves and how we try to present ourselves to the world, paired with just being authentic, and that's not always pretty necessarily.
Yeah,
but
it's really
real.
it's a play about authenticity and primalism versus civility and maybe you're hiding something.
Did you say you're hiding something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what I'd like to do is Richard's giving us a sign we got to go to break, but when we get back from the break, what in the play makes you use these dualistic terms, for example, civility versus primalism, etc. What situation can you quote us so we understand why this is sort of forefront in the play when we get back from the break? Hey, we'll go to a quick break now, and when we get from the break, just want to reintroduce. We're talking about a cool play by a great guy, Steve Martin. And this is an uproarious comedy called Meteor Shower, which is actually set in Ojai. And I didn't know Steve Martin even was familiar with Ojai. And that's so cool. So we'll go to quick break. Get back from the break. Let's talk a little bit about what the play is all about. With some of the cast, we've got Brian Robert Harris with us, Kimberly Demery, Evan Austin, and Anna Catula. Don't turn that down. Back in a minute. Okay, so I guess we can jump right into the next
Yep.
segment.
Hang on, hang on.
Okay, okay.
Get you started here. You can actually do that right now in 3, 2, 1. You are live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. I'm speaking with the cast of Meteor Shower, which is a play by Steve Martin. Yes, that's Steve Martin. And it is set in Ojai. The play itself is set in Ojai. He wrote it to be set in Ojai. And this is the first ever staging in Ojai. So when before the break, we were talking about Anna and Brian Robert were talking about this human condition caught up in the play that leads to their comment. So there's civility and there's primalism was what Brian had to say about that. Maybe,
Right.
Evan, I see you're nodding your head there. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, at its most basic, and there's lots of very delicious layers to this play, but at its most basic, the division between the primalism and the civility is between the two couples. One of the couples represents the more primal side of things, and the other couple represents the sort of little more tightly wound and constrained civil side of things. And for me, there's a lot of sort of art imitating life, imitating art moments in this play. It is in part about sort of growing into your own voice, into taking up space, and probably ultimately finding some kind of balance between the civility and the primalism. Right, either extreme is too much and not enough of the other. I don't know if by the end we achieve that balance, but it's a little bit about the struggle to find it.
So let's see. So we've got the couples here. We've got Corky and Norm, and Corky is portrayed by Kimberly, and Norm is portrayed by Evan Austin, and they're both here today. So which part of the foursome are you guys? Are you the primal or the civil?
We're the civil.
Yeah, we're the civil. It would have been fun to have been primal.
So when you say you're the civil, can you quote us some lines that indicate that civility?
Oh gosh.
Not a book yet.
Yeah. Well, Norm and Laura, who is played by Anna,
Right.
talk a little bit about innocence and sort of being naive, those kinds of things. And that's our portrayal right now of Norm, is kind of simple and innocent.
Okay, so Anna, then tell me, so you're the more wild of the two couples, and
Yes.
yes, tell me
I
more.
I guess Laura is very free and tells it like it is. She doesn't apologize for any she's not she's very proud of just being out there. She's glamorous. She has an aura of mystery. She embraces sensuality, and she's a treasure trove of secrets with humor, and she doesn't mince words or apologize for her candor.
Is that like you in real life?
No.
No. No. Yeah. So you're having to break out of, yeah, which is what you do
Yeah.
for a living.
But
So,
I
yeah.
do wear many hats. Well, I'll just put it that way.
So
I don't know who I am.
Don't you have children, don't you?
I have two. I have a 16-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son.
Yes, right. Well, anybody be schizophrenic with those age groups.
Right.
Sure. Okay, so I want to switch over to Brian Robert Harris as the director here. And Brian Robert, I want to know, how you direct comedy. I don't know what my question really is, but how do you direct comedy? Okay, so let me put it this way to you. My sister is an actress in Chicago. She's SAG actress in Chicago, and she's been a career actor. And she tells me she's got two types of directors. She's got one type who just kind of sits back and lets the cast go, and the other type who's kind of micromanaging. And
Right.
she likes the micromanaging method.
I mean, there are. I mean, there. I'm both, I guess. It depends on the show. Um, I recently directed a play in Santa Paula where I was much less hands-on. I sort of sat back a lot. Comedy's a little different because you especially something like this, because the writing is so specific. It's sort of absurdist humor, and so you have to help guide the cast a little bit. The more absurd it is, in fact, the more sort of, well, not controlled, but the more specific the choices need to be. And so, what I'm finding, what I'm finding, and when I say hands-on, what I mean is encouraging the cast to explore more, saying, why don't you try something like this? Why don't you try something like this? I'm not a prescriptive director. I don't like saying this has to be this way. Yeah, you must say the line this way, or even my blocking. Blocking is what we call movement on stage. Is very much a blueprint. I don't like to set it in stone. So I mean, on that spectrum, I guess I'm probably closer to the kind of director who tries to stay out of the actor's way. I find that's the older I get, the more experience I get as a director, I find that's the best approach. And interject when necessary, but otherwise just let the actors do what they need to do. But on this show, I'm a little more hands-on.
So Kimberly, can you give me an example of how Brian has made a suggestion to you that you've tried?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like literally last night, I was experimenting with one different type of, I'm still figuring out how I want to portray Corky. And literally last night he said, try the absolute opposite, and gave me direction on that. And so we flipped the switch, and it was great. I've worked with Brian for many, many, many years as a director, and his style is always super organic based off of what's in front of you. And I love that. You never know what he's going to make you do. And this being an absurdist play, I guess is what we're calling it. It's been a challenge. It's been hard for me. But knowing that I'm working with Brian, that I'm in good hands, and we're just throwing all kinds of, we laugh so much in rehearsal. It's cathartic. I come home feeling so good, because we just laughed and laughed, and the jokes are hilarious, and we're playing. We are actually, it's rare that you get to do a play where you literally play. So yeah, it's been great.
Just before we go to break, can you, Kimberly, tell me what you were doing that you flipped the switch and did it opposite? Can you tell me?
Oh, sure. I was playing her, nothing set in stone yet. But I was playing her a little more playful, and we flipped it to where she's more rigid and more neurotic. And yeah, just kind of the opposite of sunshiny,
And Brian,
yeah.
Brian, what worked for you? Which direction did you end up liking?
Yeah, Brian, which one?
I think making her more rigid is a stronger choice right now. We'll see how the play evolves. One other thing I said last night is that I frequently think that I know what a play is going to be when I start, and then by the end, it's something else entirely. So we just got to let it happen and see where.
Mhm.
Very cool. Okay, well, let's go to quick break. And just to reintroduce everybody, this is Ojai Art Center Theater. And we're talking about a play that's just remarkable choice for the theater, because this is Steve Martin, the comedian. We know him as a genius and a comic and a musician, etc., actor. So he set the play Meteor Shower in Ojai in its original conception. And it is the first ever staging since it started on Broadway in 2017 in Ojai, where it's meant to be set. And this is really cool to have that sort of setting. And I want to know, maybe Evan can tell me when we get back from the break, are there any specific references to Ojai? When we get back from the break, I'd like to hear what your impressions are, or if it makes a difference that you're portraying a play that's set, the action is set in the town that you're actually performing in. I'd love to hear your opinion on that. So let's go to quick break, and we're back with the Meteor Shower with most of the cast and the director talking with us today about the performances, which, by the way, it opens on the 26th of January and runs for until February 18th. So this is at the Ojai Art Center Theater, which is a darling little intimate space that, you guys are amazing what you bring, over and over again. So don't turn that down. Back in a minute.
Excellent. Excellent. That's a great question regarding directors, Elizabeth, because I got an earful from our director of the Santa Barbara Revels a few Saturdays ago that almost caused me to back out of the production, because I'm thinking, this isn't for me. And when he came up afterwards and didn't exactly apologize, but he explained, look, this was nothing personal. I'm just trying to get the best out of you and so forth. And I thought, okay, I'll hang in there. And now, because I want that specific, tell me what you want me to do, and he's saying, I want you to do something, because if you do something, I can correct you. But if you don't do anything, then
What?
Elizabeth, let's go one more. All right. Segment 3. 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and we're talking with most of the cast of a play that is, well, it's set in Ojai. And we're talking with the Ojai Art Center Theater cast of Meteor Shower. And I asked Evan before we went to the break what it feels like to perform an action in the play that's actually set in the town in which he lives and works, etc., and is performing in. And is there, Evan, any specific references to Ojai? In other words, look at this building or whatever in the play.
Right. There's one specific reference I can think of where Ojai is mentioned by name. It's in the punchline of a joke that I get to deliver.
What's the joke?
The joke is, I said we live in Ojai, and he said you can see the stars there, and I said, yeah, shopping on the weekends. A little wordplay there, very Steve Martin. The other references I can think of are kind of oblique. They're not direct references to Ojai, but there's references to not being able to see the stars in Santa Barbara, or living in and then moving out of Los Angeles. So both of those things sort of smack of Ojai without mentioning it by name. And just the fact that we're at a presumably hilltop home where we can watch the meteor shower, that's very Ojai. And the rest of it, we're putting into it. We're putting the Ojai energy that we know, even if it's a little bit caricature-ish, because that's funny, into the play.
Okay, now I have to ask, like what sort of character-ish is an Ojai stamp?
Kim, should we do our ritual? Normally have a grounding and centering ritual, which is getting funnier every time we do it. But it's very kind of playing on Ojai's sort of spirituality, whether that's deserved stereotype or not.
The
So
spirituality, metaphysical part of Ojai. We loved crystals and pyramids, and yeah, we have little rituals that are thrown in there that are more physical that you couldn't see on.
That's one of my favorite things about Kim's character, Corky, is that she's sort of she's after the ultimate self-actualization, you know.
She follows through with it.
And this is just a very funny play. I mean, it's like a design a new cry laughing emoji funny play, according to Entertainment Weekly. And that's, I mean, working with the maestro, you know, Steve Martin's words is just absolutely a joy.
and a huge part of that funny is the cast member we don't have with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John is just throwing the over the top and the funny all over the place, and then we decide which pieces to keep or not.
Yeah, John Medeiros, who plays that fourth character, Gerald, is a tremendously accomplished improv comedian, and I've worked with him multiple times. I directed him in a one-man show about Zero Mostel a few years ago, called 0 Hour. He is a really, really wonderful talent, and very, very funny in this show.
So, you know, did you cast the show, Brian?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So were you casting for people that could really, like you're talking about John Medeiros? He can
Mhm.
really do comedy. You know
Oh, yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Okay. So were you casting for that reason?
I mean, you
part
know,
of your-
you hold auditions and you hope that the right people show up. And you know, I got lucky and the right people showed up. I got very lucky with this cast. That doesn't always happen. You know, it's especially difficult these days to find male actors, you know, in the right age range. There are lots of male actors who are over 50, but, you know, trying to find male actors who are, you know, a little younger than that, you know, 40s, 30s, that kind of thing. I mean, you can ask any director out in Ventura County. It's an ordeal. It's pretty difficult. So we got very, very lucky with this group.
You know, I did anyone see the production in Ventura Red?
I was in Red.
I thought you were, yes, that's right. That's what I was going to ask you. I was really impressed. And I thought, well, you know, and I think you are in that age group, aren't you? The younger?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and your
course.
colleague was for sure, yeah.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Yeah.
So yeah, and here's another question I have for you, Brian. I don't know how exactly to put this one, but I will give it a try. So there's a famous saying that Richard Dugan, our producer, we've joked about for the past 15, 16 years. And that is, early days, we had a well-known, accomplished visual artist who taught for 40 years. And he was on the show. And of course, I'm an appraiser of art. And I said to him, so you've taught for 40 years. And my big question is, how do you recognize talent? And he thought about that and he said, well, okay, well, if we're talking about using the oil medium, I recognize talent right before the student starts to paint the brown potato in the sky, which means, you know, with oil, it gets mushy and it conglomerates together into one brown color if you work it too much. And so he was using that as a metaphor. And now I'm going to ask you the same question. So you've got a room full of auditionees, and you're sitting back and you've got a play in mind. And so, you know, you've got to formulate that into the play. But how do you then recognize talent?
Well,
you directed a lot.
Yeah, this is my 44th play as a director. Yeah, I mean, that's hard to articulate. It's different for every show. You know, because what kind of talent are you looking for? There is a baseline, like a presence thing, like someone walks in the room and you feel them before you see them. I think that's basic, but but beyond that, it changes for every show what it is that you're looking for. The kind of presence, and does this person have experience with comedy? Does this person have experience with complex text? And so you sort of tailor your search after that point. But that baseline thing of, their presence and how strong it is, and can you feel them from the back of the room, that is always very important. And that can't be taught.
It's interesting you should say that. I don't know if I brought this up when I was speaking to you, and I think I was speaking to you and your beautiful wife and your redheaded child about Reds, wasn't I?
Oh, I'm afraid I'm not married. I don't have children. But I'm not sure who you would have been speaking to about that. I'm trying to remember who was on that show. But yeah, no, I'm not married or with kids.
So the two performers that were in Red,
right? It was
had
another gentleman named Remy Mulaway, but Remy is not married either.
Oh, okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, when we did the interview, I mentioned that I thought when I started college in Boston at a university, Tufts University was my alma mater, my undergraduate. And I thought, okay, I went there because there was a famous drama coach at that university. And I was thinking, well, I know that my father's not going to let me major in drama, but maybe I can minor in it, So I chose to go to that university, and that professor started the whole year off by having us repeatedly for a month walk into the theater. That's what he did for a whole month.
Mm-hmm.
And when we asked him, what the heck's going on? He said, well, you'll get it. And he would have the rest of, so, it would be one individual, and here's the entire rest of the class. And one individual is walking in, and then they sit down, another person. And so, this was a whole month of that. And by the end, we started to realize who had that thing that you're talking about, that I'm going to feel you before I see you. We started to get it. And we started to sort of fine tune ourselves. So the people who naturally had it, we'd kind of analyze it. And after a month, we started to say, oh, well, they have this, they have that, they have this. So then act that way. Walk in that way, he would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very, very accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Richard was telling us we got to go to a quick break. I want to hear from Kimberly about some of the plays that she's written. I want to hear about that when we get back in the break. Yeah, don't turn that down. This is the Ojai Arts Center Theater, proudly presenting Steve Martin. Yes, that's Steve Martin. His comedy Meteor Shower in its hometown debut, because the show is set in Ojai originally. The play is written about two couples on one evening in Ojai. So it's coming back to
Is
Are we on again?
Yes, go ahead and wrap it up. Go ahead and bring this segment to a close.
Okay.
Three,
So
one, you're live.
Richard. Okay. Richard. So we're on for the rest of the hour with this group, and then the next hour we're going to go to the Wilderness Project.
Yes, okay, that's fine. But you need to close out this segment and then we'll continue on.
Oh, I thought I just did. Okay.
Oh, no,
All right.
because I lost you. I lost your closing. So go ahead and just pick it up from, let's go ahead and take
Now
a
he's
break
rolling.
And Richard.
excuse me?
He'll figure it out if he's.
Yeah, I'll edit it. Don't worry. I'll get it in post. All right, Elizabeth, go ahead and close out the segment.
Well, I just wanted to reintroduce everybody here. We're talking with most of the cast and the director for the Ojai Arts Center Theater's presentation of Steve Martin. Yes, that's Steve Martin. Meteor Shower, which is a play that Steve Martin wrote to be set in Ojai. And I'm finding out from the cast that not only is Ojai mentioned in the play, but the cast themselves are doing little bits of physical stuff around Ojai caricatures, like people with their crystals up there and meditating before they center themselves, or centering themselves as they're meditating, or whatever. But yeah, there's a number of Ojai references woven in as well. It is a comedy, and as Anna was pointing out, you have Entertainment Weekly saying it's a very funny play. Design a new cry laughing emoji funny, and keening like a howler monkey funny. I think that's cool. So we were talking with the Ojai Art Center Theater celebrating its 85th anniversary in 2024. Can you believe that? Don't turn that dial back in a
All right, stand by 1 second, if you would, please. Stand by.
he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to.
Let me do this. So that we have an accurate time, I need to go ahead and clean this up.
And that we have set.
Stand by, folks. The
I
bottom line
want to
is
hear about
Yeah.
that.
we have
please.
horrible
Well, I
internet.
just want.
So if you'll just bear with me here, I've just edited this segment here. So if you'll stand by 1 moment. And then of course my phone starts to ring, of course. All right. And if we lose again, Elizabeth, I'll tell you where to pick it up if we lose you again. We're at 34 minutes. We have 1 more break to go if you're ready.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. I'm talking with most of the cast of the play that Steve Martin wrote, with the idea that Ojai was going to be its setting. It's never been performed in Ojai, and it's being directed by Brian Robert Harris. And this is Brian Robert Harris' 44th directorial job. How cool is that? And we're talking about, the kind of really interesting things about directorships, which means, I don't know, you have to recognize what kind of thing you want in an actor and see if their persona fits, if they fit, etc. And I want to talk a little bit about the other side of this, which is represented by Kimberly, who is in the show. She's performing as Corky. She's an actor, director, and playwright. And she has written plays that have been performed throughout Ventura County. So Kimberly, tell us, when you're writing a play, do you have the characters in mind? Are they like sort of Hemingway-esque? They just appear?
No, my playwriting is I usually come up with a title or something first, and then I go, oh, I've got to write a play around that. And yes, I may have like a couple of characters figured out, but there's usually somebody that pops up later, or it's so, again, I like the word organic. Characters come and go, but there is always like a core. But the play usually starts off with a weird title or something that has popped into my head. I don't know why, but I run with it.
Give me an idea.
Well, I've got a play that's being produced next year at the Elite Theater on their backstage. It opens on May 24th. That's in Oxnard, and it started off as 4 one-acts, and each one-acts have their own titles. Fangs for the Memory. It's about a vampire. French Women Don't Fart. I accidentally read a book title and thought it was that title, but it was something else. So it's things like that. Digging Holes was a play that I just had a good little reading of at Santa Paula. The title came to me before the play did. So it's like that. I've got a little list of titles, and I'll get to those plays someday.
Very cool. So the title is the driver. That is very cool. I wonder.
Yeah. I don't know why, but it just happens. I don't know where it comes from. I'm taking it. Universe is putting it in my head. I'll take it.
And then I want to also ask Evan about right now. Evan is starring in A Christmas Story Can you tell us a little bit about that, Evan? What's it like to sort of be balancing these two plays or just running right into each other?
Sure. Well, the first thing I'll say about that is that the first play I ever did as an adult was A Christmas Story. I was the narrator in the non-musical version. And so now it's kind of a return in a way, even though this is a musical and I'm playing a different role. But it's a story I love, and it's a theater I love, and it's people I love working with. So no brainer there. I have never before been performing one play and rehearsing for another. In fact, the very first evening I ever met Brian, I made sure I said that out loud, that was a concern in my mind, whether my Swiss cheese brain could handle it. Far, it's going just fine. The one I'm performing is lodged in there nice. So I need a little more than some review while I actively cram this new play in there. So it's going well. It's going fine. I'm impressed with myself. It's been really good. Since it's such a beloved story, most people come in already having, a love for the story, already having an idea, an opinion about what they expect to see. Those people, from what we hear, are coming away very satisfied. But I know a lot of people who have never seen the movie, don't know the story, and have come either with someone who does or because they know someone in the play or whatever, and have come away, impressed and surprised as well. So I think we're reaching a very wide swath of people, which is very satisfying.
And what movie are you speaking about?
A Christmas Story.
Just plain and simple. Okay. All right. Excellent.
This
Richardson,
play
Mrs.
was
Summer.
written by the same folks that wrote Dear Evan Hansen and The Greatest Showman. I think was it Pasek and Paul, and the book by Joseph Robinette. It's a really phenomenal story. And the show is sold out. I mean, they're doing great.
Yeah. Going well.
That's marvelous. Completely sold out. Who's in the audience, Evan?
Oh, everybody. We've had classrooms worth of children. We've had whole groups of elderly people. We've just everybody, lots of families. I mean, it's an intergenerational show in the first place, so even just the people who know those people are going to be a pretty wide variety. But yeah, we've had every demographic is in the audience.
When we get back, I want to ask Anna, it's interesting. She's been pulling facts out, which make me think that she really, really follows what's going on in the theater world indeed. So I want to ask her about her background a little bit as well, because I think, well, I've spoken to her twice before. I want to talk a little bit about her accomplishments when we get back. So don't turn that down. Reintroducing, I am talking with the Ojai Art Center Theater, almost all the cast of Steve Martin, That's Steve Martin's comedy that is coming to Ojai from Broadway. It's never been to Ojai before, and it's set in Ojai. The play itself, he set it in Ojai. And this is called Meteor Shower. And it's about two couples that get together to watch a meteor shower on the top of one of our mountains in Ojai, and what happens after that. So don't turn the dial. Back in a sec.
All right, stand by. Now this whole internet thing is very challenging, to say the very least.
Mm-hmm.
My kingdom for a set of copper pair hard wiring. That's what I want. Oh, enough with this Wi-Fi and just comes and goes. Come on, come on, come on. All right. And we have about, I'm going to say 4 minutes left in the program. Okay. But I'll give you an exact count here in just a moment. I'm having to save the session and its parts before I can move forward because, yeah, never mind. Just give me just a moment. There's number 4. Okay, good. And put that there.
I'm impressed with myself. It's been really good.
Okay, now I can move it around.
Oh, you're impressed with yourself.
Aw.
Well,
Very-
you know,
very
they
nice.
say if you don't toot your horn, who will? You don't toot your own horn. Okay, Elizabeth, we have we have 4 minutes. Okay,
Right.
here we go. 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back. And, we were talking about Evan Austin, who's the star of The Christmas Story, which is on at Ohio Arts Center Theater. And he's also prepping and rehearsing for the new show, Steve Martin's Meteor Shower. At the same time, we were talking about holding it all together. And he mentioned that he felt pretty good about it all. And now I want to talk to Anna about her life a little bit, because she shared with us she has a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old, and she's been in many plays. She comes from a background of the performing arts, having studied at Tisch at NYU, and then she performed. I think, if I remember right, you performed elsewhere, many places. Anna, is that right?
Yeah, I would say I've been around,
Tell us more.
but mostly at the Ohio Arts Center Theater. I've choreographed, a number of musicals. This year I choreographed Nonsense and
All right,
okay.
stand by.
Yeah, so
Stand by,
um,
please. Stand by. Stand by, please. Stand by. I need you to go ahead and pick it up where you started to describe what her question was. Okay, you remember?
no. What did I say? Yeah, I've been around. Oh yeah, I've been around. I've performed in a few different places. Okay, tell me when.
Oh, whoa. Hold on. I'll give you the cue. Stand by, please. All right. So you can pick it up from there. All right. In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
So your question was about performing in different places, and yes, I've been around, and I've performed a lot at the Ohio Arts Center Theater. And you asked me about my kids. I have a 16-year-old who's been in 45 productions at 16, and she's in Peter and the Starcatcher right now at Nordhoff High School. And my son is performing in the advanced band in a tuxedo on Thursday night, and I'm really excited about that. I've done a lot of choreography for different musicals. Like this year we did Nonsense. I also played Sister Mary Amnesia and Annie Get Your Gun, and then Dr. Dolittle and Carousel. But one thing that really interests me, or kind of ties into all of this, is the physical comedy opportunities in Meteor Shower, and then just how Meteor Shower fits into our whole exciting 85th year anniversary at the Art Center, and inside of our whole season, which we have 5 shows. Meteor Shower, Dear, and it's also an absurdist play by Aaron Mark. In fact, we're going to do a little bit of marketing around that show and Meteor Shower at the same time. Spam-A-Lot by Eric Idle, The Crucible by Arthur Miller, and It's a Wonderful Life, the radio play, directed by our very famous Gay Jones, who is doing A Christmas Story right now.
Aha, yes, I know of her work, and I've interviewed her as well. And you mentioned, I think, that you got back into theater because of your children.
Yes. It was my daughter who was performing, and they needed somebody to help make up one of the dances. So that's how I got back into it.
Elizabeth,
And my mother,
Elizabeth, stop. I need you to stop. Okay. I need you to wrap up the segment because we're about out of time. She ended on a clean sentence, which was great. So could you just bring this to a close? Okay.
yes.
3, 2, 1, you're live.
And thank you guys for coming along. I thank Brian Robert Harris, who's the director of A Meteor Shower. and Kimberly Demery, who's performing as Corky in this play. Evan Austin, who's double dipping. He's the star of the Christmas Story at Ojai at the moment, and he's also prepping for the Meteor Shower play coming up. And Anna Catula, who's always delightful talking to us as well, who's actually one of the couple teams. She plays Laura. And the show is Meteor Shower. It's at Ojai Art Center Theater. It opens January 26th. And of course, it will be the premiere. The play is set in Ojai by the author, Steve Martin. And it's never been performed in Ojai until now. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you so much. We have a free preview January 7th at the Art Center for all of our season, including Meteor Shower.
And that's January 7th.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, you are clear. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yay.
awesome.
Great job, everybody.
Yep,
Yeah,
very
That was
thank
fun.
you.
I
And-
thought
and-
you were going to
oh.
say I got back to the theater to get away from my kids. And I was going to